Hello everyone, welcome to week 14 of Manufacturing 256. This is our final week of lessons, so kind of holding steady there with around the 18 or so of you that have been finishing this out, participating in it. So would have liked to seen those numbers stay up a little higher, and maybe we'll get a week here, rush in the final 2 weeks here and get a few people caught up. So this week's lesson, we just have one chapter left on the Haas. This one's basic machine maintenance. I know a couple of you actually jumped ahead and finished that off, which is fine. So this one, it's only a 5-minute video, but there's like 14 questions associated with it. So just make sure you're paying attention, as they kind of jam a lot in there. And actually got one wrong myself, and the old default thing with I guess this training is see your supervisor. So I'm not used to having to deal with that because I solve my own problems most of the time. So but again, this is geared toward the entry-level operator, so this is you should always kind of revert back to your supervisor, even if you, I guess when you are solving problems yourself, sometimes you just want to let people know that you're doing it. In this world, it's people are busy, and if they're not always paying attention, depending on what kind of environment you're working in, your supervisor might not realize what you're taking care of, if there's little problems coming out and things like that. Another thing is programming. Sometimes the person in the office doing the programming, if they have errors in their programming, maybe the way their post processor is set up for your machine or something like that, and there's little things you constantly have to fix. It may not be a big deal. It's like, oh, every time I get a program, I got to change this little G code. But if you let them know, you can maybe straighten things out from the post processor and make people aware that you're doing a good job and you're saving problems or solving problems and saving potential crash issues or something. So keep that in mind. You don't want to be running into the boss's office every day patting yourself on the back, but sometimes you just got to drop those little comments and let people, make people aware of what you're doing. So that will wrap up the Haas training, and then let me see, notebook here. What I want you to do is, hopefully you guys have your textbooks at home. If you don't really worry about this, but for those of you that do, what I want you to do is just take a look at Section 8, Units 5, 6, 7, and 8. We had covered the earlier units in Section 8, that's the CNC section of the textbook. But we would just want to take a look at 5, 6, 7, and 8. What this is going to do is it's going to start giving you some information to review for NIMS. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I know Steve was looking into it, whether we could do it remotely, or if they are going to try bringing people in small groups and spaced out once the school opens up to get those NIMS certificates testing done, if you're still interested in that. So I want you to take a look at those chapters. If you again, if you have your textbook at home, there's some little review things at the end of it, and also on Blackboard I'm going to post up what would have been 2 quizzes had we been in the classroom. I'm not going to grade these, so don't send them back to me. These are just for self-review for you to get some study material. So if we do move forward with the NIMS, you'll have some some information to work from. In those 2 quizzes I posted, the answer keys are at the end of them, so you can just kind of go through that, do it the best you can on your own, and then double check your own answers. And again, it just gives you some review information. So the final exam packets are going out. I've heard that a couple of you have gotten them already. Yesterday I got a couple emails. So with my final exam, I think I'm just going to have you do the paper copy. So I was going to try to get it online, but I just haven't had the time to get to that. So since the paper copies are already out there, we'll just go with that. So there's 20 questions on it, multiple choice, true, false, things like that. It's heavily G-code related, so you're going to have to go back to your Haas workbook. Hopefully you have that information there at home. If not, all that stuff is online, so you can kind of, again, this is going to be open notes. Obviously you guys are unsupervised for this, so I'm okay with that. And anytime you're learning something new, you just no need to try to memorize everything. You should always have your review material with you. So go through those G-code questions, G&M codes. 20 questions are going to be worth 2 points apiece. That leads us to 80 points. So the final 2 questions are essay type questions. don't panic. I'm not going to be grading grammar or anything like that because mine is terrible myself. So what we're looking for on this is there's a blueprint in that packet, and it's going to ask you a couple of hypothetical questions. So the first one is you have to make a prototype part. You're only making one. What machines are you going to use? Why? And a basic process plan. I would do these features in this machine and then take it over here and do this. And then the second part of the question is, that prototype's been accepted. It's now a production job. So you have to make, I forget what the number is, 500 a month or something. But now how would you do it? Would you change what machines you're using? If you're going to use the same machines, how could you improve it? So what I'm looking for you to do is just think back on some of these videos that we've seen, probably some of the earlier ones, with Mark Terryberry and how things are, how to optimize things. Maybe it's, running multiple parts or, using a different type of fixture. But with this scenario, I'm looking for you to think about the machines we have in the QV lab, all right? Because those, you have experience with those, you're familiar with those. I'm not looking for some theoretical, I'm going to do this on some, 5-axis machine or anything like that. So, and that's the world, being in a machine shop, that's the world you live in a lot of times. It would be great to have this, whiz-bang, multi-spindle, multi-torrent lathe to make these parts, but that machine costs $500,000 and we don't have it. So we have to work with the equipment we have. So you got to be creative sometimes. Different types of fixturing, different types of setups, multiple parts, where some of you had seen that when we did the bottle openers. The first side was, on a carrier. We machined a bunch of them, then we sawed them up, and we had, secondary operations in other machines. So different things like that. Just, put a little thought into it. I'm not looking for a complete process plan of, I'm running a 1/2-inch end mill at 3,800 RPM, and I don't want that. I'm just looking for a rough, do it in this machine to do these features on the part. So again, just put a little thought into it, and those will be worth 10 points a piece. The big thing is when you choose a machine or whatever, I want at least 2 reasons why you're doing it that way. If you don't support it with those reasons, that's you're going to get those questions wrong. You can't just say I'm going to do it in the Haas and call it a day. That's not going to work for this. You need a little bit more effort than that. So okay, so that's our final exam, which brings us to wrapping things up for final grades. So I have not been back to the college since all this happened, so I don't know what's in the completed box for projects. We had the quarter 20 clamps that were due. Again, like I said, I don't know what's done, who finished those. That is going to count as a project. So if you didn't get that done, that goes in as a 0. And what Steve is asking us to do is to come up with one more project that you guys could potentially come back and do when the college opens. Sometime around July was the number, or the date we were hearing, July 20th, I believe, but that's still not finalized yet. So he wants us to put in one more project. What it would be a quill clamp. I don't know if any of you have seen those around. They might be in the display cases or something, but there's an aluminum quill clamp that we run. It's an existing program. It utilizes probing in the program. Same type of thing, kind of like the bottle openers. We machine it on a bigger piece of aluminum. Usually call that a carrier. Then we saw it off and finish the back side. So that's going to go in as a project also, which obviously everybody's going to get a 0 on that one because you haven't had the chance to complete it. So that goes in as a 0. All the grades get averaged out, and what we're going to do is when the college opens, you're going to have the opportunity to come back and do a grade change form. So I would think, I haven't run the numbers yet, but any of the projects get averaged into lab work. So each one of these Haas assignments that we've done for the last few weeks here is also lab work. So we have a large chunk of, a large number of grades that are going in. So if we throw a 0 in there, it's not going to totally tank your grade. I would think that most of you that have completed the Haas training will pass this course still. So then it's going to kind of be optional up to you if you want to come back and finish that project, and we can do a grade change form at that point. So hopefully, like I said, this won't tank your grade and you'll be able to pass still and get your certificate. well, at least pass my course, so it won't hold you back from getting your certificate. So that's where we're at with grading. I think that's seems reasonable. I think that's what he's doing with any of the other lab-based courses, the lathe portion and Jim's part. So, and I don't know what else you had this semester. So that's where that leaves us, and that's how we would wrap things up here. So I imagine, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that July date because I don't work through the summer, so I don't know if it's just going to be on Justin and the other EAs in the shop to get you through that, or if they're going to bring me back, and we'll do a little lesson plan or whatever before we just let you loose on the shop, or not sure how that's going to work. So we'll figure that out when we get there, I guess. So just going back to, that's all I have for the course. So I just want to talk about the Haas certification again, get back to that. I know a couple of you have applied or sent an email to the local Haas outlet up in Windsor, and right now they are not doing any of this testing. Like most businesses, they're limiting outside visitors. They're trying to protect their own workforce and their business operations. They don't want to bring somebody in that could potentially test positive for COVID and then end up having to shut their business down for a deep cleaning for a couple weeks. So right now they're not allowing you to do that. They do have your information. So I would think when they open back up, which hopefully in the next month or so maybe, some of this might start happening. According to the governor, I guess we're on a downward side of hospitalization, so we're looking at starting to loosen things up around here in Connecticut. So hopefully in the next month or so. May take a little longer for something like this because it is not part of their core business. They might wait a couple of months before they open this up, but so still I would recommend, even if you do go out and get a job, I would recommend trying to get up there and finish this off. It's a good little thing to have on your resume. We did all the lesson plans, so you might as well follow through with it. I think they said the hands-on test is only like 15 minutes or so, but the bigger thing is when you go up there, they have multiple machines set up in their showroom. I would think that they would probably give you a little tour, and you can learn a lot just from taking a walk through somebody else's shop. Anytime I get the opportunity to go to any kind of open house at any of the machine dealers, or actually go visit another machine shop, I jump at the chance, because I've learned so many little things just by walking through without even anybody really explaining it to you. You just see different setups, different types of tools, even different types of machines that you might not have been aware that are out there. So highly recommend trying to follow through on that. I was trying to work with them to see if we could get certified through the college, possibly do that. So I might try to contact them again on that to see if they'd be willing to let us do that. That way, if we do bring you in July to finish off those projects, if we could also do the Haas certification at the same time, it might help you out and get that certificate in your hands. But I would still recommend trying to get to Haas if you can. So alright, so I think that's going to wrap things up. This has been a challenge for all of us. I really appreciate you guys and girls that stuck through this right to the end. I know it wasn't easy for you. Hopefully, again, give me a little feedback on it if you could, how the semester went from this course in particular, or even overall with your other courses. I think nobody's really sure what's going to happen in the fall. If we need to continue some of this online, the classroom portion of it, it'd be great to get some feedback from you guys of how things went, what you thought about what I did with my course, if there were things you saw in other courses that other instructors did. Let me know, that you liked or that worked out for you, that made things easier for you guys at home. Again, there's not a lot of communication between the different instructors, so I don't really know what anybody else is doing right now. So there'll probably be some kind of follow-up meeting with Steve, to try to put all this together if we have to do this again next fall. But I'd appreciate any feedback you could give me. And that's about it. Hope everybody stays safe. I just want to get back to the final exam also. Just like any of my tests or exams that I've done. If you have any question, don't hesitate to contact me. All right, you have my email, and my cell number is still up on Blackboard. So if you get stumped on a question and you're not really sure, you need a little clarification, make sure you contact me. I don't want anybody to struggle through any of this, and I want to have that, be here to support you through all this. So if you need any clarification on the essay part of it or anything, the multiple choice, just make sure you get in touch with me and let me know. Yeah, besides